Producer Bethany, we are here again. We back in the building. I was listening to, a little smooth R&B playlist last night, on to this morning. And a classic came through. The J Holiday Suffocate joint. Listen, not only is he burning that song down, like smoking it, the man get to the end of the song and said, "Oh no, I can't breathe." Like, what you mean you can't breathe? What you mean? Because, I done been in situations before where, like, maybe I couldn't sleep right that night because, it's like, damn, B, this would have been the time that, whatever. But I think I've always been able to muster up a breath. At least one. Man said he couldn't breathe. When I was out here in my single days and all that, if you would have told me you got something on you that's going to have me not being able to breathe when you was away, I would have said, let me get that. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to hold you. I know y'all probably thought this was going somewhere else, but I would have said, let me see. Let me see what's going on. Also, I don't think y'all peeped. He was letting you know how crazy he was because he was saying he going out of his head, right? That mean that if he catch somebody else with his girl, he bodying you. And he gonna beat the case. He gonna plead temporary, insanity and all that. He just said couldn't breathe, lack of oxygen to the brain, caused him to do something different. So he laying it all down right now before they get to court. Like that was just we're gonna talk about this on another episode. But that's why R&B ain't what it used to be. Cause niggas ain't talking like that. Niggas ain't telling shorty, yo, I can't breathe when you not here. That's but we back in the building. It's episode 6, all for the love. Shout out to everybody that's been tuning in so far. You've been rating, subscribing, reviewing, telling a friend to tell a friend. Appreciate you. You know what I mean? Shout out to producer Bethany. You don't get the crisp audio and the video and all that without her, so shout out to her. You know what I mean? If you see producer Bethany out and about, don't bother her, but just throw the deuce, salute her or something like that. Give it a nod. You know what I mean? But let's get to it, man. I find myself discovering. And I don't mean like discovering in like a Christopher Columbus way. Like I'm just saying like it's new to me. You know what I'm saying? Coi Leray's music made its way onto, my YouTube suggestions. I clicked a couple videos and I was like, damn, hold on. I kind of like this. What this here? What this is? And so I listened to a couple more joints that made me listen to the album. I'm here to say right now, I'm not sure what Coi Leray's fan base is called, her hive or whatever, but I'm going to say it should probably be called the Koi Pond, and I am in that. I'm in it. Remember on The Office when Michael Scott fell in the Koi Pond when Jim did he did the little move, B2K move, and he tripped? I'm in it like that. So whatever it is, if it's already named that, cool. But if not, this is me putting the flag on the joint and all that. I'm here, like Coi Leray. And of course she passed the test. The feet? Come on. Stop it. We gotta come on, man. You know what I mean? She in a rotation now. So let's just, shout out to Coi Leray. You know what I mean? That's how we doing. Shout out to Grand Theft Auto 3. Turned 21 years old this year. Now, for those who may not have been around, you may not have been outside or inside back during that time, however you want to take it. Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2, it used to look like you looking at like an ant farm because it was like the aerial view and you look down and all, but it was a great game. Like the game was fun. Let's not get it twisted. Love that game on the original PlayStation and all that. Classic. Shout out to everybody who remember. If you were there, shout out to you. Grand Theft Auto 3 was the first time where they actually took it to where it was like a third player perspective or whatever, and it was just it was vastly different. You got missions you're going on, you got certain things around the city, you got collectibles, and you got the garage you can park the car in, you got the radio station, with like real songs on the joint, not just some generated whatever. And so that game really changed the future of that franchise. So now when you start to get Vice City and San Andreas and, GTA 4, 5, all this. It's because of the success of GTA 3. That game came out and changed gaming. Like, it really did. So for that to be 21 years old, like, man, it's legendary. It really is. But we got another birthday. I want to tell a story first, though, before we get to this great man. I'm into history, right? I love history. Finding out how things were found and discovered and, how they name things. That's a big thing to me. Like, where did they get this name from? So I was doing my due diligence, and I looked up and I was like, man, I come across this story about this guy, this traveler, and he found this land. Him and a group of people that he had with him or whatever, they putting the work in to make sure everything is good. They laying down the groundwork, all that. They working. They don't have a name for the place yet, right? So he says, you know what? We're going to just reconvene later. In the meantime, how about you take your guys over there, get them something to eat, maybe get your Minnesota or something like that. And then someone was like, wait, hold on. That could be it. That could be the name. And he's like, what you mean? That's Minnesota. It sound good. I like that. And that's how we got Minnesota. And that man was none other than Monta Ellis. Happy birthday to Monta Ellis, man. The legend. You know what I mean? My favorite basketball player of all time. Severely underrated. You know what I mean? Fastest player in NBA history. Don't Google that. It's just what it is. Take it from me. But yeah, man, he often gets overlooked when you talk about the stars that made the jump from high school to the pros. You got the LeBrons, the Kobes, the KGs, but Monta Ellis did the same thing. Man is a legend, treat him as such. So happy birthday, Monta. You know what I mean? Shout out to him, I came across this next story and I laughed. Like, before I could even, a thought formed, I laughed. The fake Drake dude received a cease and desist letter for felonious dick riding. Now, I've never seen this happen before. I have never seen this happen. Not only was it really wasn't even a cease and desist. It was like, cease the dick riding. Like, please relax, bro. Like, you got to leave that man alone. You got the heart cut in the joint. You got the poses. You wearing the owl gear. You walking around doing appearances and all that. Like, you him. Now, it's one thing if you in the hood and you just happen to look like the boy and people like, oh, this Drake looking ass, you know what I mean? And it's cool. It's just whatever. But for you to make a whole image off of this is insanity. So for them to have to send a letter, and then if you look at the owl at the end of the letter, that owl was even looking like, bro, come on. Like, what you doing? You looking crazy out here, my guy. Like, what's up with you now? It's just wild, man. It's getting out of control. It's like I said, it's one thing to be told you look like somebody, but it's quite another to just take on their whole identity and just be like, yo, I'm just about to pull up and play. I'm gonna just be him now. Like, that's what you're gonna do. Every day you're gonna wake up and just be the boy. Come on, man. Like, get it together. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of Drake, by the time you guys get this episode, we will have new Drake and 21 Savage. They're dropping the collab album called Her Loss. I'm sure it was Drake's. You know what I mean? It was him that came up with that title, bro. That's an ill title. I'm not gonna lie. That's very Aubrey-ish. You know what I mean? They don't really miss when they collab. You know what I mean? Sneaking. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of the other joint they had on 21's album, but they don't really miss. I like that. The Jimmy Cooks joint. That's the one. That's the one where I was like, you know what? As soon as I saw it announced, I said this makes sense. Because that's the one right there. There's a lot of people who love Drake who don't really care for 21, and maybe sometimes vice versa because of the content. But when they get together, it's no denying that they make magic. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those type of things, man. So shout out to them. Also, we will have new West Side Gun, the legend. I talk about West Side Gun on this show all the time. He's a legend. His discography is something that's like, people are going to look back years later and be like, damn, he really didn't miss. This man really is a genius. You know what I mean? He played some of the album. He was out in Greece. He got like, some Pete Rock production on there. He didn't give away the whole spill of everything or who's all featured on the joint or whatever. But he's playing some shit, man. It's sounding amazing. It's HWH10. I will not say the name of that series. You can go look it up for yourself. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Hopefully we got some. I'm sure we're gonna have Stove God on it. Hopefully we get the Griselda Big Three. You know what I mean? Him, Conway, Benny. We get one of those type of joints. Mac Hami. Just the whole gang. Boldy, the usual suspects. You know what I mean? And I'm even excited for like some surprise features. You know what I mean? Wes is always known to just kind of give us something extra. We tune into his album. So shout out to Gun, man. I'm looking forward to it. So like I said, by the time this episode comes out, I'll have already listened to it. I'll have already called it a classic. So don't even trip. Don't even worry about that. Don't worry about we'll sort that out later. You know what I mean? But talking about producers and all that, right after we pay these bills and all that and come back, we got Jake One, the legend himself. Yes, he's in the building. He pulled up to kick it with me. You know what I'm saying? And stay tuned for that conversation, man. We talked about a lot of stuff. You're right here, man. Episode 6, All for the Love. As promised again, when the homies pull up, it's the most amazing thing. And this guy right here, not only have I shared the stage with him, I'll share the stage with him. So I'm on a list of, people who share the stage with the legendary, the one and only, the iconic Jake One. Thank you for pulling up, my brother. What's up, man?
Oh man, I'm great, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here, man. Hairline intact and all that, so I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm a good.
I wish I
I'm in a
could
good
say
space.
the same. Top down.
He said the top down. Yo, chill, man, chill. We definitely gonna get into it, man. Here's where I want to start with this, right? Because you've produced so many great songs, but the moments where people are like, wait, you produced that?
Right.
What, like, your best reactions that you've gotten from that? Like, what song did it come from? What joint did it come from?
I mean, and probably the John Cena one, The Time Is Now, just because it's such an oddball one, and it's one that like the younger kids even love it, right? So it's kind of spanned generations. It's a trip to like, friends of mine's kids that, they just know me as Uncle Jake. They don't know, like, yeah, you do music, whatever. We
Yeah,
don't care about that. But having that one, it's like, oh, you actually did something that impacted my life. You know what I mean?
that's
Um,
crazy.
that's a cool one. And then there's been a lot of random ones. I mean, I don't, I'm not the kind of person that puts my discography on my arm like the old Kanye style.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
um, it's just not
You know
me.
what? Let me tell you what song recently that you posted, and it gave me so much nostalgia, and it took me back to a special place in my life. It's the song from the Get Rich or Dying,
Oh yeah,
Get
yeah,
Rich or Die Trying soundtrack,
yeah.
and it's called I Don't Know. Listen, that song is amazing. Number one, like the
Thank you,
whole
man.
G
Thank you.
Unit camp is on it, and it's one of my favorite songs because Mace got this super gaudy bar on there where he says like, "You tell me how many diamonds in my bezel is one for every time I had to grind up in the gap." Like that's one of those, and you
Right.
produced that beat.
That's
Now,
the only one Mace I think ever actually that was the only official record he did on G Unit. Um,
oh really?
from what I remember,
Ooh,
because he was down with him for a minute, but that was they
yeah.
were like the
You had the
Yankees at one
mixtape and
point.
all that. Yeah,
Everybody was coming over there,
yep.
and I just happened to catch that song. That was just you just
And
never
that's a
knew back
standout
then.
track.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
I'm.
stand. So what do you remember the most about? Because obviously, like times have changed now,
Mhm.
musically, just socially, whatever. What do you remember the most about that era?
Man, it was just my first time getting to do music that was touching everybody, right? So I was doing beats for a minute, but that was when, like, ooh, I made this song, and literally it's in every store around the country. So the first one I did was "Better Ask Somebody for Them" off "Beg for Mercy," and kind of
Yeah, that's
then,
one of
it was
them.
like what's interesting with G Unit, and they really revolutionized the game. Shaw Money and D Prosper, who were the A&Rs, and Shaw ran Unit, they just anybody had a chance. You know what I mean? Like they would 50 didn't want to know who did the beat. He didn't care. So he just played people beats I mean like anywhere. There were people they only had one. Then there's like somebody that me, I ended up doing a bunch, but at that time that was the only one I had, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of dudes came through that camp. I remember being in Arizona one time with Prosper, and he's playing people's beats. And I was like, "Who's this crazy?" He's like, "These guys, Justice League." First time I heard them, it was a lot of that kind
Ooh.
of stuff. And they really democratized the process. Like, now we take it for granted that anybody can send a beat to somebody and it could possibly
Right.
happen. At that time, it wasn't like that. You had to be from New York or LA, and that was it.
Yeah.
We were
Right.
all left in the cold if you weren't that. So this was the initial era of, when you could burn CDs easy, so we could send this shit to New
Oh
York.
yeah.
You spend $16 and just give it a chance. You know what I mean? It was like rap
Ooh,
lottery at that
sixteen
time.
dollars, man. Whew.
It's kind of a
That
lot. I
sounds
would
like the
go.
cost of a bag of chips for right now. Like that's so crazy. Like that's you know what I
Right,
mean? That's crazy,
right,
man.
right.
That's
But yeah, no,
insane, man.
it was an incredible time. I mean, the special thing with that song is I always look at it like I quit my job like maybe 2 months before that came out, and thought like, oh
Mm.
yeah, I got, I'm gonna be cool for a minute, and then that I got the notice that I had got on that album, and it was a big deal. So like, I just always marked that album as being like when I really started my career. I haven't worked since,
Ooh.
So
That's
what was
amazing.
that,
Oh, that's amazing.
2005, something like that? It was a long time ago.
That's
Yeah,
amazing, man. That's absolutely amazing. So now you fast forward, we're in 2022, and
right.
we're
Still
getting
going.
we're getting a lot of Jake One produced songs, but one that stands out the most is one that dropped recently on the Triple S album by Freddie Gibbs, which,
Yes.
by the way, is a contender for album of the year in my opinion.
Right.
And you produced
Right.
one of the standout tracks, one of the top 3 tracks from this album,
Word.
Lobster Omelet. Let's talk about that. Like, how did this even come about?
That was a beat I made when pandemic first happened. I stopped traveling with Tuxedo, and I just got to be home and make beats again. So I think I just found my
Mm,
zone of like making beats and getting in a routine and just being at home. Like, it was casual. I wasn't like burnt out on music. So that was a track I made during that time. I sent it to Lambo, who's his manager. He had reached out for beats. And I know Gibbs since, I don't know, 2010. Like when I was doing the thing with Freeway, we did
okay.
shows together back then. So I've known him for a long time.
Okay.
But he always just had all kind of producers. So I was never the one like, listen to my beats. It wasn't really like that. So this was really the first time I really had sent him anything. And he cut that back then. And I heard his verse. I'm like, oh yeah, this might actually make it. Because there's a lot of records that get done that don't necessarily make the cut, but that one was kind of strong off top.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Like he raps at a high level. Shout out to Freddie Gibbs, and then to add Rick Ross to it. A song
Right.
called Lobster Omelet just sounds like you're supposed to have Rick Ross on
I
it. Like
mean,
I
it's
don't care
Rick.
who you are,
When
it's
Gibbs
Rick
was
Ross.
just on it by himself, and they were asking me who should be on the song. I mean, it seemed kind of obvious. Like, damn, we're gonna have another song with Rick Ross. I've done hella songs for Rick
Yeah,
Ross.
yeah,
I feel like at this point I've probably done like 10 songs for him to even come out. So like, it just seemed like alley. It was just a no brainer. The other person I was thinking like, damn, could we get Brad on this? Could we get Scarface on this? That was the other
Oh
person I
man,
thought of.
Ooh.
But
Yeah.
he's
Shout out to
it's hard to
Scarface,
get Scarface to rap, man.
and, he,
He'll
and
he'll call you
he's on the
loving a
album.
beat, and then he won't even get on it. He'll just be like, nah, I just
Yeah,
like that beat. I'm not rapping. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he'll
I
he'll
mean,
send me a video of him hitting the golf ball before he's gonna send me a rap. So
yeah.
you know,
And see, and you're nice. We'll get into rap, rap stuff in a second. But you're nice at golf as well
I mean, I'm
because
not gonna
you
say
had a pretty.
nice. I'm not gonna say
We
nice.
okay, all right, cool. So what would you rate your game 1 out of 10? Because this past weekend you just played what 36 holes of golf.
Yeah, I played 36 holes yesterday. I was
What would
tripping.
you rate your game 1 to 10?
I think I'm a 5, man, because I'm just getting started. I'm like respectable at this point. It's like
Okay,
anything. It's like a dude that's only been making beats for a couple years. They go in the studio with Pharrell, and they both press play, and it's pretty obvious one dude's a
and you
legend, the
see
other
his
guy's just
levels.
fucking around.
Okay,
So like it's like that for me when I get out there with some of my friends. I'm like, damn, man, I feel like you're just shitting on me out here. But it's good. It keeps me pushing. It gives me something to really like. I
yeah.
hadn't taken on a new hobby probably since I was 15 years old. So since I
You see,
started making
Jadakiss is out
beats,
here with a new hobby. Jadakiss is out here axe
what's
throwing, and
what's
he's
what's his
nice. He's nice.
for real? That's great.
He's nice,
That's
man.
great.
Listen, he had to get it together. He took a couple tries, but shout out to Kiss, man. When he got it together, he was hyped too. So he's out here, man.
I'm into people doing stuff that's unexpected. I'm really
Yeah,
into that. I think as you get older, it's like you can't just do the obvious stereotypical thing for whatever it is, whatever people expect you to. Don't do that shit. Like
Yeah.
we got enough people doing the obvious.
100%, and that's actually a great segue into talking about the classic. No, you're a humble guy and all that. I'm gonna say it's a classic, the stimulus package with you and Freeway.
Oh, thank you,
And
man.
when you
Thank
talk
you.
about doing like the obvious thing or whatever, right? Like Freeway's coming off of a couple albums, and then he's going through a transitional period.
Right.
How did the stimulus package even come together? Because that was like capturing magic right there.
You know what's crazy about that is I did a song on Free at Last, which was the second Def Jam album, and we just connected during that time. Ryan Press, big shout out to him, was like, he was Free's manager. Now he's like running Warner Chappell. It's crazy seeing his glow up and just, the people that were even associated with back then. It was really Ryan Press's idea. Like, you guys should do an album. Like, because I was doing a lot of the beats for whatever is going to be his third album. He's like, man, you guys should just do this like Gangstar or something. I was like, of course I was down. I was a big fan of Free. So it was a trip to make the record and then get past like, oh, I'm just a fan. Like, oh, this is actually my real life friend. We're going on tour together. I'm just like, this is not who I thought he was. I think that's the interesting part with some of our favorite artists, like who they are in real life is a little different than like what they came out as, right? I mean, he just had
Right.
he was already had a lot of success as a rapper. So, yeah, we had a ball, man. We really did. And we've actually been working on a new one. So I'm hoping we can,
Ooh.
wrap that up. We got to get together in person
Yeah.
and work some things out. But we got some joints actually, man. We got some good
Yeah.
features on it. It's weird to put out a part two of something like 12, 13 years later, but maybe it was time. You know what I mean?
I mean, AZ just did it with Do or Die. You know what I
There
mean? He
you
did Do
go.
or Die
There you
too,
go.
and it's amazing. So hey, there's a market for
Well,
these like
usually,
legendary.
people do like a follow up album or something. We didn't do shit. So like, we did other songs here and there, but like,
Wait. So were you aware at the time of its impact, or was it kind of like a slow burn for you guys to
it
understand
was
like
a
just
weird.
what it meant?
I think when we did it, it was just puzzling to people because I was really more of an underground producer at that point, more
Right.
backpacky. And at that point, we had these segments of like, no, you do real hip hop. No, you do radio hip hop. No, you do the sound. Like, it was really very much in that place. I think it's changed a lot over time. But I mean, even when, just having it on Rhyme Sayers, it didn't
Yeah.
really make sense to just the average consumer. The Rhyme Sayers people, their fans were like, are we supposed to like this? This guy raps about drugs. Then the people was like, maybe on the Rockefeller team was like, I don't know, I'm not really fucking with Rhyme Sayers. So it was a weird. And then we did stupid shit like putting Birdman on the album, which I just thought was hilarious. Like, I was like, we
Yeah,
got
for
Birdman
sure.
on the album? Like, I kind of
Yeah.
wish, I would have made the beat like even dirtier back then. I think I was trying to fit in what Birdman was trying to do at that point. But
Yeah, I
um,
got you.
I think in a lot of ways that was a very different um, project, for the time,
Yeah.
and yeah, hopefully we can capture that magic again. I think the records we have are really good. So now it's just trying to figure
Yeah.
like, are we gonna try to do marketing? It's so hard to know which way to go with all of those things at this point. Like
Yeah.
2022 is so different. Um,
Yeah.
the
No,
landscape,
absolutely. Absolutely, it is, and so now when you speak about the landscape of what 2022 is, when you look back at how sessions were in person versus like now you got to send stuff and all of that,
hmm
what are the pros and cons? Like, what are the things you get from like this day and age that you're like,
right.
yeah, I like this, but I would kind of tweak this because I like the older way as well.
I started when we had to be in person in the late '90s, and then
Mm.
once G Unit era came, you didn't really have to be in the studio. Then it was like, oh, just send your beat. Um, and it's one of those things. Like for me, I don't really like going in the studio with people I don't know because it's weird. It's like, am I trying to impress
Mm.
you? Like, do I care?
Yeah.
Am I gonna be too real? Because sometimes I'll fuck it up. Be like, I don't know, that wasn't it. And really, you should be like, no, this is the greatest thing ever. So it just, some people have that magic of like convincing a rapper to keep going, to bring the best out of them. I don't know if that's my place, man. I'm not gonna lie. At this point,
Really,
I just
really.
like these last 3 years, I haven't gone to the studio with a single person. I've had my most successful years. So, it's also one of the things. It depends if I'm just doing a song or two, then yeah, I probably don't need to be there. But if I'm doing the project,
Yeah.
we got to link on some
We
level.
got to link. Yeah, we have to like go get lunch together. I got to kind of know
I
your
gotta know you,
quirks
but
and all of
like
that.
But like
Yeah.
recently, the only person that's come up here, and we didn't even record no music really. I just put in beats. Wale was out over here probably like a
Ooh,
month
shout out to
ago.
him.
So yeah,
Legend.
we've done a bunch of joints over the years, and he's in
Okay.
Seattle a lot. So,
Yeah.
but I have not been to. I haven't been to anybody's session since pandemic, which is it. It hasn't really been on purpose the last year, but I'm kind of I don't know, man. I just like it, I don't really want to go in there and try to
Yeah, it
impress
is.
nobody.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
just kind
care,
of
you
is what
know.
it is now. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool now. I'll tell you a funny story from Poob. Shout out to Poob from D Block, legendary D Block. And Poob said, with Styles P, his method is like Styles P will fall asleep in the session. He'll listen to the beat, but some producers turn the beat off, and they're like, "Is he not messing with this?" And it's like, no, this is
Yeah,
his process. His
exactly.
process is I'm gonna take a nap and I'm gonna listen to it, and as I'm listening to it, I'm creating. You know what I'm saying? So like, is there any artist that you've worked with that has like a process that you got to tell somebody like, "Hey, wait, this is his process." Like,
Um, some guys are just like everything. They'll rap on anything. You just play a beat like I'm going in. Some people it's like you really like. For instance, Rock Mars. I've been trying to do a joint with Rock Mars since
shout out
2012,
to Rock.
some shit. And
Mm-hmm.
he was a fan of my stuff, but then he'd be like, "Nah, man, this ain't. I know you could do better." And I'm like, "Hold on, why am I trying so hard to give you a beat? Like this is crazy." And eventually, I just made something that I thought he would like, and then we got one. But I
Yeah.
appreciate at least his honesty to be like, "Nah, this ain't for me. It's dope, but this isn't what I do." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Nah, that's beautiful.
it's what's funny about Styles P is he's one of the first rappers I was ever in the studio with, like in New
Really?
York. I happened to maybe like 2001 or two. Rockwilder was looking at signing me, and I took one of my early rap trips, and he came in and did a banger actually over one of Rockwilder's beats. And I didn't even play no beats or nothing. But I was just like, damn, this is Styles P from the Locks. Just seeing him in person. I think
Seeing it in
Redman was there that
yeah,
night. I was
yeah.
like, damn, I'm around superstars. I'm from Seattle. We didn't see that. So
Shout out to SP, man. I know that
yeah,
had to be
legend,
electric. Seeing
legend.
SP in person is like you said, like you're in the sport, so it's like watching an athlete put on a 60-point performance, and you're like, yo, this
It
is
is.
really happening right
And what's
here.
so funny is I feel like XXL would come out with like top 10 rappers or something that was in
Mm-hmm.
that, it was probably when it was still a magazine. And he wasn't in there and he was mad. And that was like part of his bars. Like,
Man.
and when you see people do that, you're like, oh, there is a meaning behind everything. It's just like whatever
Yeah.
happened in that moment. Even some of the classics, some random shit that happened that day, they incorporated in the rap.
Yeah, nah, that's amazing, man. And so while we're on sports, right? Like I love the way this is flowing. Why are we talking about sports? Jamal Crawford is an absolute legend out
That's
there
my
in Seattle.
brother,
We got
man.
the crossover league.
That's really
Yeah,
my
shout out to the
friend.
homie,
Yeah.
the legend, the OG. And recently we saw him with the crossover league and all of that. I want
Yeah,
you to
yeah.
talk for a second about just his impact on Seattle. Like, what does he mean really out there for
I
those who are
mean,
not there in person
yeah.
to see it? Like, what does he mean out there?
What's really dope about Jamal, and I'm a little older than him, so I came before him. But like, I feel like my era of basketball players we probably could have made the NBA, but we didn't have anybody showing us the way. And the
Mm,
one dude that made it from my era, who I played against, was Jason Terry, and he made it. But
okay,
then he had kind of like left the city; he wasn't around. Maul comes after him, and the thing Maul did is he was just super accessible. Like every kid that's come out of here when they were in high school got to train with him and play with him,
mm,
and get to really touch it and see what it takes working out, all these things. And
yeah,
it's crazy just to run the kids we've had from the city the last 15 years. And he's really just I don't know, man. I feel like he's just so even keel. Sometimes I'll be around when they're having a real game, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know he had that part in him. Like he'll be yelling at somebody. I'm like, oh shit, like
that's
he does
Jamal.
get
Yeah,
mad. You
like
know what I mean?
whoa.
Um, yeah, obviously the pro am, just giving us to something to see that high level of basketball once they took the Sonics from us has been incredible. I was there this summer for the LeBron Day, which was just one of the crazier things I've ever
Incredible.
seen. It
It
was
first
like
it had
it was
social
like my
media in the chokehold, so I know
oh
in
my
person
god.
it was crazy.
And I mean, of course, I found my way in because luckily,
Yeah,
I got people over there. But
yeah. Come
um,
on.
I I don't think I've ever seen that level of just people standing out over celebrity. Like I was like, is this what it was like when Michael Jackson pulled up? Because There were grown men shedding tears around me, and I was like, "This is nuts." They wouldn't
Yeah,
get off the court; they're just attacking. You know what I mean? Like, I was
yeah,
like, "Damn, this is different." They just, I don't know, and maybe because I'm older, I don't think there's a basketball player I'm gonna do that for. Like anybody, I'm not gonna like.
yeah.
But maybe if I was 16 and Jordan came, I probably would have did the same shit.
Hey, listen, I'm telling
Uh,
this. I have a picture right now when I was just a lad, and I got the Jordan Jammer rim, and I'm laying it up with the left. I'm a right hand person, you know what I'm saying? But I'm laying it with the left, just showing you the duality of man and all that at an early age. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, 100%. I get it, 1,000%.
so yeah,
So it's safe to say
it's
that the atmosphere
crazy.
in person was
Oh,
exactly
it
how it
was
looked on social
nuts,
media.
and we've had everybody there. I mean, I was there when Kyrie came. I was there when KD came. I was there when Kobe
Mm-hmm.
was there. Like the LeBron thing was just different, man. I don't know,
It's
like
different,
just the
yeah.
frenzy. Like I was like, hold on, there is thousands of people outside. Like I was
And they
like,
were there from the night before, like,
yeah. And me being old,
yeah,
I'm like, damn, this isn't good. Somebody's gonna like they were trying to bust down the doors, man. Kids were sneaking in side doors. It was just like, I
yeah,
mean, I don't think anybody was prepared for the degree of celebrity that was.
yeah.
Because Jason Tatum's there too. It's like he was me. It didn't even matter. There was 7 other NBA players on the court. It was frenzy for LeBron. I was like, damn, this is crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty wild, man. So just a couple more quick things to get to. Obviously 2022, we're getting a ton of Larry June music,
Yeah, yeah,
and you're a key component of that, right? Like at this point, I'm asking as a fan here,
yeah, yeah.
is the Larry June Jake One tape imminent? Like what's going on with that? Because you guys have a lot of amazing records so far, for
We have
sure.
a lot of joints. I talked to him like 3 days ago, and he was like, "Man, let's just drop something real quick." I'm like, "It's on you. I'm here. That's easy." But
Oh, that's the
I
best.
I think he's just gotten so much bigger as an artist. They're planning things out in a different way. It's not as just like, yeah, I just recorded these today, bam, on the internet. Like that's kind of how it was moving at one point. But things are a little more strategic at this point. He's on a bigger label. Um, but yeah, hopefully that's something that's gonna come. You know what's crazy in the tape he has coming with Alchemist, where I heard some of it's really dope. I even got a shout out in there, and I didn't even do the beat, and that's the first time that's ever happened. So I was kind of hype off
A
that. I'm not gonna
word.
lie. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Shout to Alk, man. Definitely shout to Alk. And while we're on that subject, right? Like me and you, we had a conversation before about Large Professor, right? Like
Oh yeah.
Large Professor is an absolute legend in his culture and things like that. And I know that you have a great relationship with him. What is he like in person? Because he comes across as like the coolest guy of all time.
He's
When you see him just in
exactly
interview, he's the same in person.
he's exactly like his rap persona is. He's gonna hit you with the
Okay,
same vocab, verbiage, all of it. And I think he's just so genuine, man. Like I think the longer you do this, you get jaded, you're burnt, whatever. You feel like you didn't get what you should have had out of things. And that dude is still just as happy as ever just being in a record store.
that's
Like that's what
amazing.
he wants to do. He still got that where it started, it's still there for him and he still has that love like that. And he did so much crazy impactful stuff that he probably doesn't get credit for. But
Yeah,
the people that know, we know. So
if you know, you know.
anytime
Yeah.
these guys are in town, I'll host them and just have people come over and kiss the ring. Like that's what it's nice having a house
Oh, I
like that
love
I could do
that. Kiss
that
the
for.
ring. I
Yeah.
love that.
Like tomorrow, Lord Finesse. Well, Finesse is coming today, but he's going to barbecue for the homies. So Finesse will be here
That's
tomorrow, and
incredible. You hear that sentence that you
anytime he
just put
comes to
together?
town, I do the same thing. Yeah,
Finesse is gonna barbecue. Like that's a crazy series of words to just put together like that. Like that's incredible.
yeah. I mean,
So
I
just
just feel lucky to when you actually meet dudes that are your heroes when you're younger and they live up to what you had hoped they would be is like such a
yeah,
rare thing. So
yeah,
whatever I can do to like show these guys love, I'm always doing it.
yeah. I mean, that's how it was for me with you. Like I met you out in
That's
L.A.
crazy. Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
like, man, like I know Jake One's work and I know that he's cool and all that, but to meet him in person, like there was nothing Hollywood about you. There was nothing like, hey, yeah, I'm whatever. It was just like, nah,
I
let's
didn't
let's
bring my
sit here and chop it
security
up.
that day. I let
See,
them
see.
take a day off.
Yeah, right. Good guy, great guy, man. So real quick, one more thing before we let you go, man. We mentioned Tuxedo at the top of the show, and shout out to Mayor Hawthorne, and he's a Michigan guy, right?
Ann Arbor's
Um,
own, man.
Ann Arbor's
Ann
own.
Arbor's own.
And you're a
Yeah.
Seattle guy. I want to ask you this. If you had to put together a sports duo, it doesn't matter if they played together, if it's the same sport or not, give me a Seattle guy and give me a Michigan guy that
Ooh.
you would put and say, hey, this is us. This is us tuxedo as a sports team.
Damn, that's gonna be interesting because I usually pick somebody like if I'm looking at my career, it's like somebody that just stuck around forever, right? I mean, JT got to be. I mean, because JT played 20 years in the NBA, like
Yeah.
that's got.
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel like he was always kind of like he was really good, but he's never the star, and that's definitely been my career. Trying to think for Drew, like a Michigan alum. I mean, I'm not gonna give him Tom Brady. That would be too much. That's too much, man. I mean, that's you get
You
Tom
think he
Brady,
runs the 40
Bruno
faster than
Mars or
Tom
some
Brady?
shit. No, Drew is not that athletic. I'm not
Okay,
giving him
all right,
that.
cool,
I'm
cool,
not
cool.
giving him that. Um, Sheesh. Man, I'm gonna give him what's due for the the super agent Palinka. He's Palinka. Rob
Palinka.
right? Because he gets to the money. He plays at a high level.
Okay.
He's touched all kind of different things. Man, that dude's versatile. He's gonna pull up with a handmade pajama or something. You just never know. Like he's good at all kind of different things, man. It's a trip, and he really cares. So,
Yeah.
he's not a one dimensional guy. That's for sure.
That's incredible, man. That's absolutely incredible. I did not expect the answer to go there, but I'm glad it did because that's amazing. It really is, man. Damn, man. Listen, as this show progresses, I would love to have you back on. I'm
Of course,
sure
man, let me
that
know.
the music
Let
that
me
you're
know.
making and is gonna make its rounds again, and people are gonna start, putting stuff out or whatever. So, love to have you pull back up.
Soon,
But thank you
soon.
so much. Thank you so much for pulling up here, man. It's all for the love. And you are a legend and an icon and all that. We
Thank
got to
you,
make sure
man.
we give
Thank
you your
you.
flowers, man. Like for
Appreciate
sure.
it.
Not only are you the homie, but great guy, excellent producer. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, man. Thank you again,
Appreciate it.
my man.
Peace.
Man, shout out to my guy Jake Lund, man. You know what I mean? Again, we talked about this with him. He's gonna pull back up. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's not done. Like he's always working, man. Like I said, if y'all don't follow him on Instagram, please follow him. He's a very clutch follow. Always busy, always catching flights and all that, and doing just asking questions. Like it's just incredible. So shout out to Jake. Before we get up out of here, I do want to leave y'all with a gem. You know what I mean? Try to give y'all something y'all could live with and rock with moving forward. I want to say this. My pops used to always tell me not to let the way people treat you change how you naturally are. And because of that, a lot of people benefit from me being solid. I'm sure a lot of people benefit from you being solid as well. And what I mean by that is they might, you guys may not be on the best terms anymore. They might be saying who knows what behind your back. Maybe it gets back to you. But what you don't do is start slinging mud back because it's just not in your character, right? Like you don't let them get out of character. And they'll benefit from that in the eyes of the people who, I guess they think it mattered to because you're not saying anything back because it's just not you. You don't let anybody get you out of your character to the point where you start responding to things and, making posts or saying certain stuff that you normally wouldn't say because everybody can tell when you're rattled. Like they know how you normally are. People know how you react to things naturally. And most importantly. So as soon as you start to feel yourself get there and take it to that point, just remember who you are. Keep moving with that same style and grace you always move with. Be smooth about it. Everything else will sort itself out. You don't need to explain yourself to everybody. Make sure you right with yourself and your people because the people who it matter to, the most, they won't even care. It won't even get to them. You can't tell my homeboys nothing about me. You can never pull up to anybody who I call a friend or that I consider family. You'll never be able to tell them anything about me. They'll tell you, get the fuck out of here. So I'm not worried about what someone else says about me or how I'm portrayed in certain circles because those might be circles I might walk right by if I saw them on the streets. So why would I care about if I'm being discussed over here this way? And I think you should adopt that mentality as well because in this day and age, a lot of things are going to be said or whatever, especially like if you're in the eye of the public or if you're around certain spots or whatever, people are going to feel a type of way. It's up to you to decide to give that energy or not. It only exists if you acknowledge it. You understand? It really only exists if you acknowledge it. You start giving that shit life, it's going to live. It's simple. So I implore you, please be selfish with your energy when it comes to things like that. Only use that to, fertilize the things that you got going on and help that shit grow. Don't worry about nothing else. You know what I mean? This for me. This the big homie, the big headline and all that. You heard? Listen. Till next week. And we also got another guest pulling up. We got another homie pulling up. Come on now, y'all know how we do over here about this time. But all of the links will be in the description. All the social media, rate, subscribe, review. Check us out on YouTube and all that. Playlist will be attached. It's gonna be some West Side in there. It's gonna be some Drake, some 20. You know what I mean? All that. You know how it is. Shout out to everybody who tuned into the Ransom playlist. That one is out there. I keep telling y'all I know I owe y'all play. I know. Y'all ain't got to keep telling. I got you. I know, man. I got you. I promise. But until next time, man, stay cool how you stay cool and all that. You know what I mean? We out.